Good afternoon, everybody. Happy hump day to you on this Wednesday, July 9th, 2025. I've got all of your stories for your rush hour ride home. And on today's episode, we will be discussing Olivia Rodrigo, as it's revealed she's paying therapy for all of her bandmates on tour, which is always great to hear. And AMC is actually offering half-price movie nights Tuesdays and Wednesdays to combat the slow midweek slump. And we'll have more later on the episode regarding the new Superman movie. Some say it's too woke. We'll have to break that all down for everybody. And we've got a Blake Lively update as the judge has agreed to let her delay her deposition until she's received all of the video and other discovery. So this is a win for Blake Lively's side. And then, of course, we've got journalists and MAGA influencers turning on the Trump administration. They're placing most of their anger on Pam Bondi because they're afraid to cross Donnie, but they are not happy with this massive Epstein story, the gaslighting going on, as folks are told nothing to see here. Well, we'll have to see about that. All these stories and more, it all starts right now on The Rush. And the first thing we're going to get into is Olivia Rodrigo pays for her band and crew to see therapist while on tour. I think this is so funny. Her guitarist Daisy Spencer revealed this. How could you imagine like doing therapy as like the bassist? Like, no one's here to see me, but I set the rhythm. I just wish people would pay more attention to the bass. No, but this is, first of all, well, and again, like on behalf of the men in society, I have to say, this is why women should be ruling the world. I mean it, because she takes some of her money and she puts it towards therapy. If this was a male, artist, they wouldn't put the money towards therapy. They'd, put it towards getting a hot tub that comes with them in the backstage. Or, you know what I mean? We're idiots. I hate to play into the trope. She's like, we need therapy. And I'm like, we need Nerf guns. We need to be able to have water sports. Can we get a wave runner in the hotel pool? So either way, good for her. But hey, passing the baton as far as therapy goes is Louis Capaldi, donating 734,000 hours of free therapy to those in need. He says, this is my way of giving back. The amount is in reference to the 734 days the Survive singer took to focus on his mental health following a difficult 2023 Glastonbury Festival set. So good to hear that folks are prioritizing their mental health. I mean, I don't know if this is real punk rock, but back in the day, it's just all blowing lines and blow jobs backstage at the band. And it's like, by all means, live your life, but, have somebody to talk to. That's not too bad. And speaking of therapy, Kesha, she's going to need physical therapy. Also good to have. Tears an ACL on stage mid-performance and finished the show. Says, I'm a bad bitch. Well, I guess so. I guess you are. I mean, look, these are the rockers I want to hear about. They're getting therapy. They're breaking their knees and sticking it out. Like, good for them. These are good stories. All right, moving it along. We're going to get to the Blake Lively stuff in a second, but AMC, I wanted to offer this kind of like a public service announcement here. AMC Theaters is offering 50% off tickets on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I guess this is, I always thought that, didn't most movie theaters already do discount ticket night? Listen, I'm sorry. It's got to be tough to be a theater in today's world. I've got 4 flat screen TVs to choose from. I've got all the food I want at home, and I don't have people talking during the episode. What I do have is my wife and I being like, where have we seen this person before? And then we, scroll TikTok, and next thing you know, we're not paying attention to the plot of the movie, and we're like, that movie stunk. And it's like, did it stink or do we have ADHD? Either way, I do look forward to the time I go back to the movies, but it's been a hot minute. I don't think I've been to the movies since Top Gun came out. The first one, no, the recent one, not the recent one, the one from two Top Guns ago. Either way, we got some news on Superman. We're actually going to have a lot to talk about with regard to Superman. But first, James Gunn says it's nonsense to think Superman will flop if it doesn't make $700 million. It doesn't need to be as big as people are saying. Now, my problem with these superhero movies is I never feel like there's much of a plot. But what he says is basically like, it doesn't have to be $1 billion movie. What it needs to be is story driven. Here's what he had to say on the Inside of You podcast.
People have gotten really lazy with their superhero stories, and they have gotten to the place where, it's a superhero. Let's make a movie about it. You know? And let's make a sequel because the first one did pretty well. And they aren't thinking about Why is this story special? What makes this story stand apart from other stories? What is the story at the heart of it all? Why is this character important? What makes this
And by the way, this sounds so elementary to just be like, yeah, you need to have a story. But it's true, these superheroes, they kind of took for granted the fact that people would show up to a big superhero movie. I went to Wonder Woman back in the day, and I went to the iPic Theater in Pasadena, which is like where you get those nice reclining seats. Cost me like $110. Trust me, I didn't have it at the time. And but I was like, I got to impress my girlfriend Tasha before we were even engaged. And she slept through the whole movie, is the point. I got her a red velvet cake and she passed out. And I was like, I could have rented a hotel. I could have just got us a hotel room. But either way, movies aren't dead. But this is it. You don't get to see too many like no one's going to the movie theater to watch some like heartfelt movie. Now it's like big blockbusters like Top Gun, Superman, and things like that. So a lot riding on it. All right, well, let's get into Blake Lively because that's what we do here. We're a Blake Lively, not necessarily for good reasons, but a lot to talk about in the ongoing soap opera known as the Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni trial. Distraction, Ryan Reynolds banned from Blake Lively's deposition, source claims. Terrible title. Ryan Reynolds is one supportive husband who wants to be present at Blake Lively's deposition on July 17th in New York. However, as per a source, the actor has been banned from attending the deposition. Lively's legal team has advised against his presence since it is a legal fight and Reynolds is a distraction. Lively has reportedly decided to face the lawyers alone. And now this was revealed to Rob Shooter that Lively's legal team told Reynolds that since he's a distraction, he has to stay away from the depot. The decision might have been difficult for Lively as she loves Reynolds and would want him to be on her side. However, after understanding the gravity of the situation, the actor reluctantly agreed to face the battle alone. She knows this is war and is ready to take things head on. Now, listen, here's what's going to be interesting. You might have a 6-hour deposition. All you need is that one moment where she lies or her story doesn't line up, or, it's kind of like a massage where you're massaging someone trying to look for the tension spot and then you really dig into that. Brian Friedman's going to dig into the tension. Where can he cross Lively on her story? What doesn't make sense? And there's a hell of a lot of her story that doesn't make sense. One strategy that Justin Baldoni's side has wanted is to depose her before handing over all of their discovery, essentially to try to catch her in a big fat lie. Well, that's not going to happen, as the Honorable Louis Lyman, the judge, has ruled on behalf of Blake Lively to make sure that she receives most of, or if not all of, the discoverable material before her deposition. So this is from Blake Lively's side. We further respectfully submit that this is just the latest example of a substantial and recurring pattern of delays in document production by both the Wayfair parties and their affiliated third-party witnesses in this case that necessitated the filing of the joint motion to extend the court's case management and scheduling order. So what they're basically saying is, well, this isn't fair. Justin Baldoni's side is delaying, which, by the way, is rich coming from Blake Lively, since she hasn't even requested or put on paper scheduling the depositions of the Wayfair side. But again, I feel like there's not too much to this story other than knowing, you got to do something first, whether it's the deposition or the discovery. So both sides, it's kind of like playing rock, paper, scissors, right? You can't play it all at once. You want to see what the other person's hand is before you do your side. Well, the judge has granted the order, the letter motion for extension of time. The case in Coslow shall make interim or rolling productions prior to July 17th and shall produce all documents that can feasibly be produced in good faith in advance, but may produce the remainder of the documents by July 18th. So again, a ruling, I guess it's reasonable, although I'm sure Justin Baldoni fans think this isn't fair. But listen, Blake Lively, she's already got copies of all of the footage, so she can't really lie about that, she's already edited the movie, so she's seen it ostensibly. Here's what Not Actually Golden, the lawyer, has to say about discovery disputes.
What they're fighting about now is Stephanie Jones called them and said, I'm not available that date. And they're like, okay, well, what date are you available? So this is just jockeying. This is just lawyer bullshit stuff. This happens in all litigation.
Yeah, it's like trying to make plans with your friends and everyone's like, oh, I can't do Tuesdays. Well, I work Saturdays. I got the kid on Wednesdays. It's like, why do we even try to hang out then?
This is kind of what makes litigation tedious and annoying at the discovery stage, is it's all just fighting about stuff like this, right? Well, you didn't call me and tell me another date until Tuesday, and I set that date on Monday. Like, it's just, all of this is very normal. And it's all kind of how litigation, particularly in a big complex case, works, is that you get yourself down to this small amount of time. And it's like, holy shit, we have to do 40 depositions in this amount of time and get all these documents. And then everybody starts to freak out. And that is part of the reason why the Lively and Jones folks asked for an extension of discovery, which I said they were going to do months ago. And the Wayfarer people have now agreed to that in large part. They're extending the fact discovery deadline a month, so it will match right up with the expert discovery deadline. Usually you extend there's fact discovery end, so you gather all the facts. Then you have another month to make sure your experts have all the facts. Let your experts create their opinions, write their reports, let them get deposed, and then you move to the next stage. But because they've got so much going on and everybody's being such a dick to everybody else, and I think it's universal in this case, they've agreed to extend fact discovery so that it's the same as expert discovery. So instead of ending in August, now fact discovery is going to end in September.
And so what will this mean for the trial? Will the trial be pushed back? Because initially you hear, well, March 2026, that's so far away. But when you see everything that goes into setting the table for this trial, you really do appreciate how complicated it is. Now, I want to give a shout out to Not Actually Golden on TikTok. She's recording this in her dream closet. I mean, she's got the LED backlights for her purses. That's how you know you've made it, ladies and gentlemen. You have made it if you have a closet that has lighting on your purses and your shoes. I'm sorry. That's somebody who's billed quite a bunch of hours. She's crushing it in life, so good for her. All right, well, coming up next, we're going to have the journalists, Joe Rogan, and MAGA influencers flipping on Trump over the Epstein saga. It's a big deal. Trump wonders, why do people want to talk about this? It's trending across the universe. That story coming next. If you are watching this on YouTube, it'll be a separate video. You'll have to click the link right there. There'll be a little box that pops up, and then you'll get the back half of this episode. If you are listening on the audio, you'll get that next.